Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hamlin, aka the Laptop Legend, and it's been a while since I've made a video again. This time I've been dealing with a lot of other technical difficulties. I actually got banned for life from ETrade this time, so that's fun for you, those of you guys who are not in the Discord and had not already heard that. Pretty crazy, so banned from Fidelity, banned from ETrade. I'm now moving that money to TD Ameritrade. We're gonna give that a try, but I actually use this as motivation to really study some patterns and take myself to the next level as a trader. So I'm excited to share those findings with you guys, as I move forward. But right now, guys, the market is actually getting really hot again for the first time in a long time. OTCs are still really not that hot, but like small cap NASDAQs are absolutely off the charts right now. It's freaking insane. And I mean, I have so many movers after hours to show you guys that I don't even know if I'll remember them all, but I wrote a lot of them down, so hopefully we'll get most of them. I mean, it's just been crazy. I mean, typically all it takes is like one really nice supernova to spark off all these other runners, and that's how it's been with DWAC. So I'm gonna go into that one a little bit more depth and then talk about some of the other plays that I'm watching for tomorrow. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive on my laptop and talk about these stocks because there is a lot of opportunity out there. All right, guys, so before I dive into any of the crazy setups that I'm looking at for tomorrow, I have to talk about what we had for the past couple of days. I think it really started on Thursday, but then it really got crazy going into Friday. And obviously DWAC was the play that sparked everything. And for those of you guys who aren't up to date on everything, DWAC was basically the SPAC that Trump's media company was supposed to be merging into. And because of that, it went pretty insane. And you can see here, I mean, this was already a really nice run right here. And I mean, that's already a crazy squeeze. I literally saw it at like, I think it was like 11 bucks, and I didn't buy it because, I didn't expect it to run because nothing had been running in the market. And then this thing just went absolutely wild, man. And you can see here, I really didn't touch it at all on this day, even though it flagged really nicely. The best setup, in my opinion, is this one, like right here. I mean, that is just a really tight flag there. And, it's just a really nice setup. So if I see this at any point, on these runners moving forward, I'll be looking to get in at something like this. This is a really nice setup with really good risk reward. And, if stuff is actually running, if you buy something that's this explosive and you buy, maybe on one of these dips here or something, you're risking 50 cents a share. Maybe if you get a big washout, you're risking 75, $1. And the upside, can be several dollars. So you get really good risk reward on these plays versus, just buying when you see something go straight up like this. Usually that's a chase. Usually you're gonna get wrecked on something like that. So I much prefer to have these consolidations, and then, you get these nice patterns and it just absolutely rips out of there. So this was insane, guys. In my opinion, the best trade on this, well, actually, I guess there was a nice, there were some nice flags in after hours too, honestly. You can see this one right here, another triangle. I mean, it pretty much did that straight going forward. There was another really nice one right here. You can see that one as well. I actually called this one out because I was watching again in after hours just because it was so insane. And then it, had a big gap up, held this support area twice, double bottom here, and then just ripped into open, had a big gap up. And I know someone who made an insane amount of money on this, man, like $8 million longing it this day. And then I think he made nearly as much shorting it on this time. I mean, it's just crazy, man. We had Stephen Ducks make $6 million also on this. Just so many opportunities, man. Jack Kellogg made, like 600,000 or something like that. These are the types of plays that you can scale up no matter how big your account is, which is why you really want to work on nailing them. And I think the best way to play these is wait. If you want to short them, the best way is to wait for them to go, absolutely, I would say exponential. Don't short them on day one. Make sure they're up, if they're like this, up, over 1,000% from the beginning of the run. And, wait till they go literally straight up. You get those halts. And then you get the first red candle down. That's typically your entry zone. And, that one would have worked really well in this case. You get the entry down, and it breaks that. The first break of, the first 5 minute, or I guess in this case it's a 1 minute candle, but, the first break of that candle, and goes straight into a down halt. And, it's pretty much game over from there, and pulled back like 50% from those highs. Now, what I actually did was I bought this dip here, and I definitely piked it, and I did it with small size just to practice. But this is also a really good play. When you get a 50% pullback from those highs, and it pulls back all the way down here, and then it goes into the first up halt. That's typically a really good bounce area. So if it doesn't go into the down halt again, you know that you got some support here. That was a pretty nice dip buy, and then it did end up going a little bit farther. I think it perfectly bounced off the 1 hour 10 period exponential moving average, which is pretty typical in these pullbacks, and then had a bounce pretty much all the way up to VWAP again, then just faded off. So this was a really nice play. We had a couple other plays. PHUN, I mean, this one was obviously even more insane, I think, percentage-wise. This one went from, you know, like $1, just went absolutely insane. Again, I could have bought this thing here as I was making these higher lows, these ABCD patterns. When the market's not hot, these really don't work, and they just end up stuffing and breaking down. But when it's hot, guys, and you see it doing something like this, especially in pre-market, oh my gosh. I mean, this is just a moneymaker, guys. I mean, this is insane, just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I love this pattern here. ABCD pattern, perfect pattern. So you get really good risk reward. You know, you buy here, it fails a little bit at this resistance level, it comes back, makes a higher low. You know, you can buy right in this area, risking, you know, I would say these lows, or I guess technically you could risk these lows, but it's a little more risky because you'll probably more likely to get stopped out there. But if you risk these lows, you know, you're risking not even $1 a share. And on something this low float, I mean, clearly there's a lot of upside to stuff like this. Now this is, you know, not an everyday occurrence, but pretty crazy. And again, on these, you know, it went straight up. You got to lock in profits. You cannot be chasing up here. The risk is just too high, because what happens is you go into these down halts, and then typically, you know, the first down halt, like once it's been parabolic, is a really long down halt, and a lot of times it'll gap down over 50%. So if you're trying to, you know, scalp it up here, or, you know, do whatever, buy it and hope to sell it one higher, like, it's just not worth it from a risk reward perspective. So the play on these is either wait for the first red candle and short on that, or wait for the dip buy when you get a massive gap down. And that is actually what I did. So I actually dip bought down here. I didn't buy a ton, but, you know, I forget what I bought, man. I think I only bought like 100 shares or something like that. But this had a nice bounce here. It went into an up halt, and then it went even higher, went as high as like 14. And, you know, I mean, that's a nice bounce, man, from like 750 all the way up to 1430. Now, obviously, you can't time those perfectly. You can't get in the exact bottom, still at the exact top, but there's still, you know, a really nice bounce area there. And I mean, that's usual, man. You get these massive gap downs off these down halts, and usually there's like a 50 to 100% bounce off these things, which is crazy. The one that I messed up on was actually this one right here. You know, it pulled back a lot off of that. I missed the short here. I should have looked to short this bounce, because, you know, that's another really good play, shorting the bounce off there. I just didn't know how high it would bounce. Also, I didn't have shares on this one. And then it pulls all the way back, you see here. And I was actually long right down here, but for whatever reason, I cut it, man. I cut it, and then ended up bouncing, you know, like 100% from where I cut, which really stinks. Now, I wasn't long, big size. I think I bought like right here, and then I cut right here. Just, I don't know. It still felt weak. But I think at that point, you know, it's down enough again off those highs, like from 14 to 5.6, and you got some support levels from pre-market there. I think it's worth that. So in the future, I'm going to be a little more willing to risk on this. You know, maybe I'll risk down here. I'll risk like $1 a share, because there's, you know, $5+ a share of upside. So that's really the play on these guys. If you can't get in on a nice flag like on day one, once they go straight up, it is too late to get in with good risk reward. So just be cautious out there, guys. That's the main thing I want to say. Now, we actually have something that's looking very similar to DWAC, and that is BKKT, guys. This thing is looking very similar to the day one of DWAC. And I mean, if you look at this, very similar price action, man. I mean, it started at about $10 in pre-market, and you know, it had some halts, was a little choppy, but it kept making higher lows, went into more up halts, started getting crazier towards the end of the day, and then just squeezed really hard in after hours. And DWAC is on everyone's mind, so a lot of these shorts here are potentially getting screwed. I know Mad Ads actually gave back like 300,000 trying to short this thing after hours, so I know that there's a lot of big shorts out there who are on this thing because they didn't think it would go. So I'm excited to see what this thing does. Again, for me up here, I can't really chase it at this point, man. I really can't chase it at this point. The only thing that I would potentially consider is if, you know, it gets a really tight range and we can get a nice flag. But, you know, at these levels, it's just up a lot. So I would rather just, you know, hope that it goes exponential and, you know, then get a down halt, have a big gap down, and then I'd look for that dip buy there. For me, that's just the easier, safer play with better risk reward. So that's what I'm going to look for on these. But The good news is we have so many sympathy plays based off of this. It's just insane. So we have, let's see, we have XELA. And that's the great thing about these supernovas, man. They spark up the entire market. So DWAC is making all these things right. We never used to have stuff, you know, 2 weeks ago that was running in after hours like this. And now we have a dozen stocks. I mean, it's crazy. So XELA, this one might see a gap up tomorrow. We'll see. Looks pretty strong here. Pretty strong all day. GNUS, that's another one, man. I mean, this one, wow. I saw it here and didn't really think it had that much potential, or I didn't want to chase. Maybe I saw it like right here, like 158 or something. And so I didn't touch it. And then obviously, you know, you can see what it did here. So I definitely underestimated that one. I should have bought. But again, you know, no woulda, shoulda, couldas. This is another one to keep on watch, guys. There was some news on this. I forget what it was. Some like conference or something that it's going to happen in like 2 days, something like that. So I wouldn't hold through that, but it potentially gets hyped up into that. Let's see what else. OCGN, guys. This had something going on. You know, same thing. Just crazy stocks running after hours, guys. 54%. Like after hours is not something I stay for, but man, it sure is tempting when you got this many runners that are this strong. We had, did I call that one out yet? We had ZKIN. This is just another one. Not really that crazy. We had EBON. You know, just a random runner out of nowhere. Like literally just out of nowhere. Don't know why. LIDR, another one. Crazy, out of nowhere. 50% in after hours. EQOS, this one was really strong. I mean, look at this, guys. 155% in after hours, out of nowhere. Like we did not have these types of moves 2 weeks ago. And now they're everywhere. Like if you had even one of these that was up 50%, that would have been like a showstopper. So it's pretty crazy to have all these. And you know, I'm pretty grateful. I'm learning these setups, and you know, it's pretty exciting. Now, the setups that I'm actually learning are more swing trade setups. And I guess a few key day trading setups. So the trades that I was actually in today, from kind of the new stuff that I'm learning, I was actually in HX, and this one was a little bit disappointing. Just because I actually didn't take a second stab at it. But if you look at it on this chart right here, you can see this stock went absolutely insane, and it just had an insane dump, like with no hint of a bounce whatsoever. And once you get back into this area down here, you know, typically speaking, if you have something that pulls back from 25 bucks all the way down to, you know, 580s, it should have a pretty nice bounce day. So what I was looking for here was a bounce day. So when we went green, you know, out of the open, when we broke this range, I actually longed it here, and it was looking pretty good. But then it just got pretty heavy, man. It ended up dumping and then it just fell off a cliff, so I had to cut it right here. I stopped watching it. I came back, and I came back right about here, I would say. And I was like, you know what? This looks like a pretty tight range. You know, I could probably buy this risking down here, and I think it might be a bottom. And then I looked away, and the next thing I know, this thing, you know, spiked up this high, and I was like, all right, I missed it. And then it spiked up even higher, man. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. And it actually spiked up as a sympathy to HUDI. I think this is also one of those super sketchy stocks. Look at the daily chart on this stock, guys. I mean, it's literally straight green days. I don't know how this is a thing. I really don't. So I was actually looking at this one, considering it for a short this morning. Luckily, I didn't do it because the trigger would have been, you know, when it breaks down there past the open, you know, goes red on the day. But you can see if you're a short on this thing, you're just getting wrecked because it breaks down, looks nice, and then they just rip it back. Just rip it back, and then eventually they break high a day, squeeze those shorts out who didn't cover at the high a day break right here, and then it just goes insane, goes into an up halt, another up halt, and then it goes into a down halt, and then just kind of dies. But still, just wild. Like if you were short from the breakdown here, like you're down almost 100% up here. I mean, that's wild, bro. That's so wild. So this stock is a turd. I probably won't touch it, and that's pretty much that. Like I just don't like that thing. A breakout that I was looking at today was AR. I really like the flag on this, and this is one of the new strategies that I'm learning. But unfortunately, they have earnings coming up in 2 days, and I personally, from what I've heard, I don't want to hold through earnings. So this is one that I sold for a profit. I actually bought it on the break of these on the break of the opening range. I think I bought it right there. And then it actually pulled back, but it held there, didn't go red. So I actually added some there. It bounced, and then it rejected, double topped again there. I added, I think, one more time here, and then it came all the way back up, and then I realized it had earnings, I think, right about here, so I sold it all. So I'm no longer holding this one. But it's definitely, you know, these are the types of setups that I like for those swing trades, and this is the new strategy that I'm working on. So I'll be calling out more of these guys, and I definitely want to keep tracking this over the next, you know, few days, just to see how this one, you know, reacts to this breakout here. But this is the new strategy that I'm learning, and there's tons of liquidity on these stocks, so you know, shouldn't be any issue with those, man. I'm looking forward to it, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. GBHL, this is pretty much the only real OTC sympathy play to DWAC, and this was a pretty crazy runner on Friday. You can see it was gapping up like almost 50% in pre-market on like no volume, and then right out of the open, just an insane amount of volume, man. I actually didn't realize, wow, I didn't realize I had that much volume. That's insane. Had 100, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, well, Jack Kellogg, he bought like 10 million right here, and I think he ended up selling them like right here or something like that. He was right there, I don't know. I think he made like, yeah, I think he bought them at like 6 and he sold them at like, he made like 40 grand profit on that in like 3 minutes or something like that, and then ended up running a lot farther. I didn't realize it had that much volume, but I messed this one up because this is when ETrade banned me, and I was trying to buy this on ETrade, and I didn't realize I couldn't buy on ETrade. So that kind of sucked. But you know, it had a nice run. By the time I figured it out that I could buy it on Schwab, it was pretty much right about here. So I ended up making still, I think like $2,000 on this, just based on the dip buys here. So if I'd gotten in, you know, before that, I probably would have made, you know, 10 grand on this thing. But this was just so epic, man. You know, multi 100% runner in OTC, ridiculously strong. I miss those. If they come back, man, we're gonna be banking, especially in the Discord. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see it happen. And it actually had, you know, a secondary run today. Had a secondary run today. My dogs are barking. And you know, you can kind of see it spiked right out of the open. It was very quick though. I think I bought some at 9 and then 9.9 or something like that, and then I sold at like 104, something like that. But it was very fast. You know, people dumped right out of the open, and then this thing just kind of got ugly later on. It's all based on hype. You know, it's supposed to be connected to the Trump thing, but I don't think it really is. So I think it's just a fake connection. But that's pretty much it for the day trades. MIDI, I do want to mention this just because it finally was able to pop out of that range. You know, we had a nice big green candle today, and you know, we'll see what happens, guys. See if we get a multi-day run like we did here, or if it just, you know, kind of fades down off of that. I don't really care at this point. I got my 500,000 shares. I'm not selling a damn one, and you know, part of that is because ETrade, you know, they banned me, so I can't buy any back if I had actually, you know, sold some. You know, maybe if it broke these highs and got to $1 in a couple of days or something like that, I would lock some in. But now at that point, I don't think I would lock any in. I think I would just still let it run. So that is it for MIDI. Pretty exciting times. Was up like 20,000 unrealized on this stock today. Just a change. I'm still, I think, net negative a little bit, just because I bought so many up in this area and then in this area right here. So I think my average is still like 30 or 31 overall, even though I bought, actually I gotta double check cost, but yeah, it's 30 in here. I think it's 31 in my other, even though I still have some shares from 11. Pretty wild. I averaged up, I think, in the 40s on that one. But yeah, I'm excited for this one, guys. All the other swings I'm still holding on to. I haven't sold any other ones. The one thing I did stop out of Robinhood today. That was kind of annoying. You can see it wicked really hard. I actually stopped out at 39, and it closed above there. It reclaimed pretty hard, man. I mean, it bounced hard. So I stopped out. Where did I stop out? I must have stopped. Yeah, I stopped out like right here. I lost 250 bucks on that swing, and then ended up bouncing back up to above where I had stopped out. And I guess in after hours it did that. So we'll see what happens, man. I know it's very expensive to borrow, so I'm hearing we might, you know, get some type of squeeze on this thing. I really do like the chart, which is why I'm kind of mad I got stopped out, because it's a really nice chart. So we'll see. We'll see, guys. See what happens with this one. But that's pretty much it. I don't want to make this longer than it has to be, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, you know the drill. Let's grow better together.
aguantar. Bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.